Hello everyone, it's Dave from Dave's Wreaths and Things. Roses are red, violets are blue. Let's get to crafting some Valentines for you. Today I'm going to be creating some Valentine DIYs using the foam flowers you see in the background. Here they are. I got these off of Amazon. It's Puyu. I don't know how to pronounce the brand name, but I found them for Amazon. There was 100 in a pack for $19.99. It comes out to, I think it's 19 cents, 20 cents per row. So I thought that was really cool. They're foam. They look beautiful. I love them, and I couldn't wait to start crafting with them. So here's the roses. Let's get started and making some DIY for Valentine's. My first DIY. First off, I have a 20 by 30 spare piece of foam core. It has vinyl wallpaper on the back that I used for a backdrop. So I'm just going to use this as my base. I'm not going to use this wire frame. But I am going to use the wire frame to trace out the base that I'm actually going to cut out. So with a pencil and my X-Acto knife, I just score it a little bit. And then once I've scored all the way around, I'm going to come in with a deeper cut and cut all the way through. And that's going to be the base for this wreath. You'll see later on why I kind of went with foam core instead of using the wireframe that you just saw. Basically, I wanted to fill up the entire space. There's my heart, and I'm going to actually cut out 2 more pieces. And I'm also going to outline or trace over the center heart. And I'll show you in a second why I am doing that. But first I'm going to just cut out those 2 pieces. And then I'm going to cut out the middle as well. And once I put them together, so I have the bottom piece, which is a full piece, and then I have 2 pieces of foam core with the centers cut out, it's going to create a little bit of a ledge. So the inner flowers will be a little bit lower than the outside flowers. So I have an idea in my head, and I'm just going to roll with it here. But there you go. I'm cutting out my centers. And of course, these little centerpieces or these little center hearts, I decided to use in another project. So stay tuned and you'll see how I use those center cores. And now all I'm going to do is take some hot glue and I'm going to glue all my layers together. So again, I have 1 base piece, which is the full heart, and then I have 2 other pieces that have the center heart cut out as well. And you don't have to worry about being 100% neat. You're going to see in a little bit what I do to kind of clean up those edges a little bit. And we're just adding that glue on there. I don't know why I'm putting so much glue on this one. But there you go. We have our base all ready with that little ledge all around the outside. But before I kind of come in and do my felt, I'm actually going to trim it just a little bit. And here's the felt that I am actually going to be using to cover the side. So I want to clean it up a little bit. And this is just a roll of felt that I got from the dollar store. It's 4.5 inches wide. And I'm just going to kind of quickly eyeball it, measure it out, and then I'm going to cut a piece for those straight edges. And then I'm going to cut it in half as well because I don't need so much. And all I'm going to do is put my hot glue down in that little straight line there, attach my felt, push it down, and then once that's all secure, I'm just going to flip it over and add some more glue on the other side. Flip it over the edge, pull it a little bit tightly, and hold it down. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with that other piece of felt, finishing off those edges there. And then once you come to the curve, I'm just kind of eyeballing it again, cutting it in half, seeing how it fits. It's a little bit short, but we'll work with it. Then I'm going to layer the 2, and then I'm just going to put little snippets in there creating tabs. So they're about maybe 1 inch by 1 inch, or 1/2 inch I should say. Those are the tab lengths. I just eyeball it. And then what we can do with that is put a little hot glue down and then use the tabs to go around the curve, that top portion of the heart. And that'll create just a nice little finishing effect on those edges. And I keep continuing pushing my tabs down into the hot glue, working in small sections, flip it over, and then I'm going to put a little dollop on each tab. But, you know, maybe 5 or 6 of them all at once, and then quickly just push them and hold them in place. And I'm going to finish off those corners there with the same procedure all the way around. And that's going to give it kind of a nice little finish. You don't have to finish it off like this if you don't want to. You can totally leave it with the exposed foam core. That's totally fine. It's totally up to you, the color that you choose. I just chose red because, well, red roses, and it's Valentine's. And I'm going to work on my last little piece here. I'm going to cut it in half, create those tabs, and attach that on there. And once I attach that on, I have my base all ready to go. There we go. All ready to go. I'm going to let it dry for a little bit. And now is the fun part, our roses. I didn't count how many roses I used for this. I must have been maybe, I'm going to say around 40 or 50. And all I'm really doing is I'm putting a little dab of glue on the back. They're kind of close together, but I wouldn't say they're squished together. You still want to have some kind of rose looking, you know, object on there. You don't necessarily want to have them too squished together, but I put them kind of close together so you don't see any of the white background. Really, that's kind of the goal that I was going for. And is really like in the center, I wanted them a little bit more squished than on the outside. So here I am, I'm almost finished with my center. I kind of pick it up, take a look at it, I'm happy with it. Now let's work on that outside edge. And I do, I think, two rows on the outside here. And I found a little pattern. So what I did was with my left hand, I held it down with my right hand. I put the glue on. By the time I put the glue on, you know, I could move my left hand because it was dry. So I had this wonderful little process going and it worked really, really well. So once you find your own little process, this will go by so nice and quick. But really, I had so much fun playing around with these roses. The time just flew by. I had such a great crafting day in my studio playing around with these foam roses. I just loved them so much. I actually wish I had a whole bunch more. But here we go. I'm just kind of going around on the outer edge now, finishing up with my last row of my roses and attaching the last couple of roses on here. And once I'm done, we'll see this beautiful rose heart come to life. Our last rose has been attached, and look at this. I love how this turned out. Of course, I'm going to hang this on my wall, so the little ribbon, the sheer ribbon that came with the felt, I'm actually going to use that in the back to hang that on the wall. So I'm just going to add a couple dabs of glue, use my little tool to place it down into the glue so I'm not burning my fingers as usual. Chop off that excess, and now we have a little hanger for our wall or our door. But there we go. I love these roses. I love the color. I love how they look. They're so vibrant, so realistic as well. I just love how this turned out, and I hope you do too. There we go. Our simple and easy rose wreath. DIY number 2. I found this Be Mine Valentine's Day box at the dollar store, and of course, chocolates, and more chocolates around Valentine's Day. And we're going to use these roses as well. I have an idea of what I want to do here. So what I was thinking of is filling this up and then having the chocolates overflow. So you know how you've seen those, it's around Christmas time, I think a whole bunch of them came out with the Christmas baubles. So I thought this would be an idea of combining the chocolates and the roses together. So I found this floral foam at the dollar store, and I'm just going to stick that right in there in the center. I mean, if you want, you can totally fill this up with the chocolates, but I just figured having this here and then having the roses and the chocolates kind of coming out on the outside. That was my idea for all this. And the white felt is just there as a base to cover up that green. You're really not going to see it anyways, but just in case. And I'm kind of trying to figure out the angle, how I'm going to do it. So I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to start putting the roses in there at first, seeing how this works out. And then all of a sudden, it kind of came to the fact that the roses could possibly just hold up that lid a little bit. So I didn't want the lid to close, I wanted it to stay open. So here I am, I'm just going to glue down the first set of roses. Because originally I was thinking I would have to get like a barbecue skewer or, you know, a toothpick and stick it in there. And then I was like, oh, how am I going to cover that up? But then once I put these the first row of roses down, it worked out perfectly. So I am just going to make sure that these roses are totally secured and they're not going to move anywhere before I glue that lid on an angle and keep it up like that. And here I am just planning away, figuring out where my roses are going to go. Really simple, I'm just putting a dollop of glue on the back and then just pressing them in for a few seconds, holding them there. And now let's bring out some chocolates to see what everything's going to look like. And of course, these chocolates, have you ever had them? They're so good. The peanut butter one, I will highly, highly recommend. Those are so good. And here I am trying to decide how I want to have everything, because in my head, I was going to have these chocolates right in the center, surrounded by roses, and then gluing the chocolates on the side coming down. But then once I started thinking about it, I was like, I don't know if I want to put the hot glue on the chocolates, because the chocolates are going to melt with the hot glue. And then once I started thinking about it, how's the person supposed to take it off of the box if it's hot glued on there? You know, the outside will have to face inward so you can rip the chocolate off. And I thought, you know what? Let's just have a piece of chocolate right now and I'll think about it. And they were good, by the way. The fudge one is good as well. So I just decided to put the chocolate to the side for now and let's work on doing the roses, because I thought maybe I'll just have all the roses within the box and then have them spill over as well. So you can see I'm kind of putting them on the side there. And this is the fun part. So if you're a crafter, this is the fun part. This is where your ideas come to life. This is where you play around with those ideas. And I am just kind of going with it. I'm figuring out where these roses are going to go. I decide to put a double layer of roses on there and just really stack in those roses. And because those ones are at the back, I decide I'm going to put extra glue on there and then a rose at the bottom so it looks like it's cascading over that box there. One more rose, and then I'm going to decide how can I deal with attaching this lid onto those roses. So really all I'm going to do is take some hot glue, figure out the angle that I want, and I'm just going to add some hot glue right onto the back there. And then I'm just going to hold that in place for a little bit. It actually ended up using a whole bunch of hot glue on there. I didn't need that much, so I had to hold it there for quite a while. And as I was holding it there, I had this idea of just placing the chocolates, kind of pushing them into where the foam roses are. So there's spaces in there. So I just decided, you know, maybe it would be a good idea instead of gluing them in there, just holding them or just squeezing them in place. And as I'm holding my lid, waiting for it to dry, I'm seeing if I can unwrap this chocolate with one hand. And look, I did it. I must have had maybe 6 or 7 chocolates making this. But there you go. So I just decide I'm just going to place these in here, just squish them in between the roses, and it worked out perfectly. And I just love how this turned out. I had one idea and then something else came into mind as I was doing it. So my cascading roses with chocolates for my Valentine. Who's yours? DIY number 3. For this one, I had a couple of roses left over, maybe about 12 to 15 roses left over, and I went searching in my cabinets and I found this old mirror that I got from the dollar store. So I had an idea and I thought, let's roll with it and see what happens. So I took the mirror center part out, just the frame. I'm going to give a coat of white acrylic paint, and I'm just kind of applying it on there loosely. I'm not doing full coverage, so I'm just putting it on there loosely, and I did all sides, innards, and everything. Let that dry. I'm gonna put the mirror back in backwards just in case if I decide to use it or reuse this frame again, I can still have the mirror. Once I figure out how to put it back together, I'm gonna flip that over, grab some of my roses that I absolutely loved working with, and I'm gonna start gluing those roses right to the glass there. And I think it was 3 in a row, and I think I used 12 roses in total for this little frame. Now, if you are interested in the roses, I'll put a link down below. I did get them off of Amazon Canada, but I will put the link down below. I am not affiliated with Amazon or the brand that sells the roses. I just think they were such a great product that I don't mind putting a link down below for you guys, because I really loved these roses and I loved working with them too. But there you have it, our framed roses that you can stand up vertically or horizontally. A nice little quick craft, and I think it just came out so beautiful. In the very end, I did decide to add another coat of white acrylic paint on the end. I just love how that turned out. It was a little bit too gray for me with just the one coat, so I did add a second coat. And the beauty part about this is you can have it both ways, vertically or horizontally. I just love how this turned out, and I hope you did as well. I hope you enjoyed all 3 of these crafts using these foam roses that I absolutely love. Thank you so much for watching today and joining me as I created our Valentine's Day DIYs. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.